Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel to a brand new video, and today's video is going to be a highly requested video of talking about OCD and eating disorders. So eating disorders kind of come with other mental health problems such as anxiety, PTSD, and OCD is a major one, and a lot of people have OCD and they don't even know they have OCD. So I hope this video will let you know to basically, if you have like a therapist or whatever, maybe you can open up to them about like these kind of things that I discussed within this video, because you yourself might have OCD and this video might give you one of them little light bulb moments of realizing that, oh, I have an issue here. Obviously sometimes we have eating disorders behaviors which are different to OCD behaviors, but 9 times out of 10 a lot of them are actually kind of work together and they kind of make this big OCD kind of bubble, and it's really hard to work with your eating disorder and OCD at the same time. I definitely always felt like as if I was playing like a whack-a-mole game. Like I kind of focus on my eating disorder and then all of a sudden my OCD would pop up, and then when I would whack that mole down, then I'd focus on my OCD and then my eating disorder would pop back up, and it was kind of like I couldn't balance them until I kind of realized that in order to work on both of them, I couldn't just like do little small steps with this. I had to go cold turkey on pretty much all of my OCD behaviors as well as my eating disorder behaviors, and I couldn't just focus on one thing. I had to pretty much just go all in, and I had to pretty much focus on like, you know, tackling both of them at the same time. And I feel like it was a fear of me being overwhelmed that was kind of pulling me back, and the fear of, you know, not being able to do everything I want to do. Like in that one time, like I felt like I compelled to, you know, focus on just one area of something, because I feel like as if I get too overwhelmed, or, you know, my suicidal thoughts would pop up if I got overwhelmed. But that was it was like the complete opposite of what happened actually. Yes, I was overwhelmed, but I was able to kind of handle it in a sense that I was able to think more rationally because my brain was more nourished, so that I was able to, you know, not do the OCD behaviors, and I was able to distract myself whilst also, you know, getting over the eating disorder thoughts and guilt and things. So a lot of the things that you have to do to get over ED behaviors and eating disorders and things, you have to also do to get over OCD. So I'm going to discuss some of my OCD tendencies and my OCD behaviors, and, you know, I'm guessing a lot of you will also have similar ones in similar kind of OCD behaviors, or if you're watching this video and you haven't even realized that you have OCD, then this might make you realize that actually this might be something that I also have and something that you might need to get diagnosed. So I am diagnosed with both like an eating disorder, which is anorexia, and also my OCD. So I was diagnosed with my eating disorder way before my OCD, but I feel like my OCD actually started up way before my eating disorders. I always showed symptoms of having obsessive compulsive disorder since I was really, really young, way before any eating disorder thoughts, way before any issues with food. I had issues with, you know, doing everything in a certain order, or like doing weird things that not like a normal kid would do basically. So at my old house, I used to have an obsession with shutting the doors in the living room. Before I could sit down and before I could settle, I had to make sure that each door would be shut in the living room, and if they weren't shut, I wouldn't feel safe. I don't know why, I just would feel on edge and I just couldn't settle. So all doors had to be shut. And then when I moved house into my new house, it kind of disappeared. I don't know why. It kind of went away, except from there was a new door that had to be shut at all time, otherwise I would feel annoyed or on edge, and that is the door in the kitchen. So we have like this little built-in cupboard in the kitchen, and it's where we store our pots and pans and things like that, but for some reason that door needs to be shut. But the issue with that door is the fact that the door doesn't shut properly, so it keeps swinging open, and it just drives me insane. It still does, to be honest. Like I really like that door to be shut before I like start cooking or before I do anything in the kitchen. I feel like that door just needs to be shut, but it always just swings open, and it's so annoying. But anyways, that just shows you that I had kind of some compulsive disorders since I was kind of younger, But then another thing with doors, again, I don't know what it was with bloody doors, but I feel like doors and security kind of just thingies with me. I don't know why. But like my bedroom door, it had to be open, but I kind of had a logic behind all of this, and well, I wouldn't really say logic because it's kind of irrational, but it just felt secure once again. But I would have to have my bedroom door open at night time, like not open all the way so that like you could see the door open, but I had to have it like it wouldn't be able to be shut properly. It would have to be a bit open. And my logic behind of this was, if there was ever a fire and I needed to escape, I fear that I would go to, like, I'd get shocked, and if there was a fire in my bedroom, then I feel like I'd go too much into shock and I would be frozen and I wouldn't be able to open up the door, because I feel as if like my hands would be shaking and things, and I wouldn't be able to open the door and I'd die in a fire or something. Really weird, I know. But like, I just feel like it'd be easier to just open up a door and run out rather than having a door that was shut. But that is just something that was just in my head kind of thing, me making scenarios up because of anxiety. But anyways, my OCD in general kind of settled down when I moved to my new house. I kind of got over things. I can have my bedroom door shut now. I don't really need to shut doors all the times. It's only that one in the kitchen downstairs that kind of still stresses me out. But it kind of settled down, and then my eating disorder came along. And then all of a sudden, lots of new things came up. So as I mentioned, I wasn't diagnosed straight away with OCD. My eating disorder diagnosis came first. And then I got diagnosed with OCD by my EDIC team. So CAMS didn't diagnose me, but my EDIC team did when they sent me back to the doctor and got a diagnosis of OCD. And like, my first initial reaction was kind of like, I kind of already expected it, because the behaviors and routines I was doing was so disordered. So like, at first, to me though, they weren't disordered. They were just things I felt like I needed to do, and things that, you know, like, I just did. Like, sometimes without even thinking, I would just automatically do them. And then when I started to like realize what I was doing, or like my mum would like, you know, pick something out at me and be like, why do you do that all the time? Then like, it kind of started to click that there was something wrong here. I shouldn't be doing things like this. So I've actually wrote down some things I used to like do, and like, it baffles me reading back on these, because I never thought it'd be something I'd be able to break. But now to be able to be, I would kind of say I'm like almost OCD free. There's still some things that I still struggle with daily, but overall I feel like I've got a lot of it under control. So one of my first things that came into place was when I got my first meal plan. Way long ago. I don't do meal plans now, but when I did have my first meal plans, I really struggled with going over, like, I feel like I needed to have that amount that was on the meal plan. Like, I needed to just have free meals and free snacks. Like, I couldn't go over this. Obviously this had some eating disorder thoughts within it, but like, I would honestly get so stressed, not just because of the fact that I would fear like, you know, weight gain or anything. It was more this idea that I needed to have this. And this is why meal plans didn't work for me either, because on my meal plan they would write down things like you know, 1 bit of protein and blah 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 blah, and like, I would felt compelled to do that on the meal plan. And then my CAMS team and EDIC team mentioned times, and this is where the whole time issue came in. So my EDIC, they didn't like set times for me to eat my meals at. They kind of suggested times, because they kind of suggested like when I should have a space. Like, they kind of suggested like each times I should eat. So they suggested like every 3 hours kind of thing to eat. Which, once again, I don't agree with meal plans. We shouldn't have set times to eat. We shouldn't wait, you know, to eat. But once again, my ED latched onto this and my OCD latched onto this. So they said to eat a snack. They said to eat my breakfast at 9, and then a snack at 11, and then my lunch at 1, and then my afternoon snack at 3, and then my dinner at 5, and then my night snack at 8 o'clock. and this was just suggested times. This wasn't like they meant you need to eat at this time, but my OCD and eating disorder was obviously like, I need to eat at this time. So it got really, really disordered that I couldn't eat like a minute past the time. Like I'd have to have it at 9 o'clock. It couldn't be any later. If it was any later, then my eating disorder would make me skip the meal, basically. It was really, really bad. Like I'd have to have everything prepared and have everything in front of me at that time. And then I'd literally be sitting here, like turning on my phone, keep going like this, waiting for the minute before I could take a bite. And this would happen for like such a long time. And then I realized that my later meals started to get even later. So it would went from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And then from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Like I delay my meals each time. And then when I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, I would have my meals much later. So I wasn't having breakfast until 11. And then I'd end up missing snacks and stuff like that. And it was really, really disordered. And it got so bad to the point where I wasn't eating my dinner until 9:22 p.m, which is so specific, but 22 is a number that my eating disorder, my OCD actually kind of, grabbed onto. So I can't stand even can I stand even numbers? You know what, I always get this mixed up between even and odd numbers. I know it's so bad, but I only like numbers. I like even numbers. I can't stand odd numbers, so I couldn't eat at an odd number. So if the number was like 9:01, I couldn't take a bite. I'd have to wait till 9:02, and then I would. So for example, when I was eating my cereal, it used to take me like an hour to eat a bowl of cereals, and it would be such a small amount too, because when I would make my cereals, I would have to pick out perfect cornflakes, which sounds so stupid, but like the cornflake had to be a perfect size. It couldn't be snapped in half. It had to be a full cornflake, and it had to go into the bowl 22 times, which is stupid, I know. But obviously at this time I was so disordered with portions. I was so just like I was just really messed up in the head, basically. But every time I would have to wait for a bite, so it'd be like 11:02 bite, and then I have to wait till 11:04 bite, and 11:06 bite, 11:08 bite. It was painful to actually sit and do that, but I would do that, and I would do that every single day. And like when I think back, I'm like, did I not have anything better to do with my time? And then there was things like I started developing things like I had to clean. Like before I ate, I had to clean my cruelty about like 4 times. I had to clean my plate like 2 times to make sure that I was clean. So like I'd wash it, then I'd dry it, then I'd wash it, then I'd dry it, then I'd wash it, and I'd dry it to make sure that it was completely clean. There couldn't be any dishes in the sink. There couldn't be any knives and forks in the sink before I ate. The table had to be cleared before I ate. Like one of my most stressful things, besides like when you'd have a takeaway, it's already stressful, but for someone who has OCD as well, I couldn't have anything on the table. So I couldn't have any of the my family and stuff. I would class them as kind of messy eaters, kind of, in a way. So like when we'd have a takeaway, they just have like all the cartons and stuff laid out on the table, and then they just portion what they want. I couldn't have that. I couldn't have any when you get the bags of prawn crackers and things, I couldn't have them on the table because it would stress me out. It had to be clear. The only thing that could be on the table was my plate and my knife and forks in my hands. There couldn't be anything else, otherwise I'd get super stressed. And like this was just things that I would do all the time, and it was so annoying for my family because it would get them stressed, because like say they put something on the table, I had to walk through and take it out of the table. One of the worst things that happened was when I started having Domino's pizzas for the first time. So although I was doing really well with my eating disorder and things, and although I was challenging myself really well with like food and things, my OCD was just way stronger and I do stupid things. So one of the worst things was when I'd get a Domino's pizza, I'd have to wait every half an hour to take a bite. Half an hour to take a bite, like what the hell? Like that's just insane for me. But then it was even more than half an hour, because since I don't like odd numbers and things, so it would be like 32 rather than 30, and then like 16 instead of 15, like it's just so stupid. Like, saying it right now, it just sounds so irrational, but to me, like, it felt like it needed to be that. Like, it had to be that. And my Domino's pizza would get so cold, and it would stress my mom out so much, because I also had like OCD with going to the toilet, so I'd have to go to the toilet before my meal and after my meal, literally just to empty my bladder, because I wanted to make sure I could tell when I was full or not. Just stupid things like this that I would do. Like, it was just so irrational. Like, now I think back to it. Other things that I did was, so I've mentioned the cleanup, I mentioned the cereal, the sleeping was another thing. So when I got really sick again, mainly when I had my main relapse, my OCD started up even stronger again, and I had this obsession where I had to stay up until 3 a.m. Well, first of all, I had to stay up past midnight to make sure I stayed alive the next day, because I was literally fearing that I was going to die because I was that sick. And the doctors were scaring me. The doctors were telling me how my heart's going to give up, and they were telling my parents of how they had to make sure that I was like alive basically in the morning and things. And they said to my parents, actually, like, really sick things and really twisted shit. They said that, like, don't be surprised if one morning you walk in and she's not alive anymore. And like, it was like, what the hell? That they were already worried enough about me, never mind the doctors and things telling them these kind of things, which I just feel is just completely, like, I get it, I get eating disorders are deadly, I get it, but when the parents already know the reality, do you really have to go to the extent of scaring them that badly, and also scaring the patient? It didn't really motivate me to get better either, because I was kind of in that position where I didn't care enough. But there was also a sense of me, like, there's like a logical side of me that did definitely care, because I did stupid OCD things. Like, I'd have to stay up past 12 a.m. to make sure I made it to the next day, and then I'd make myself stay up until 3 a.m. to make, well, 3:02 a.m. to make sure that I made it through the night, because 12 didn't feel safe anymore. So I had to make sure that I was at least like 3 hours into the day to make sure that I'd make it to the morning and things. Really stupid things. And I was tired all the time. And then the exercise routine came in as well. So then I'd go to bed at 3, and then I'd wake up at 6 to do a really vigorous exercise routine. I didn't do this literally for the sake of losing weight or burning calories or anything. I'd actually do this before I ate any food. I do it early in the morning, and not because I didn't want my parents to hear, because they did hear. They heard me a lot, and they'd literally be like, Emma, can you just stop it? Like, literally. So I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and I'd do a really stupid exercise routine 12 times. It had to be 12 times. And it got to the point where I couldn't be bothered anymore, and I would literally just be standing there being really stupid doing like my exercise routine, and I couldn't be bothered to do it whatsoever. Like, it was literally one thing that I just didn't want to do whatsoever, and I wasn't doing it for the sake of burning calories. I wasn't actually, and that's why when I stopped it, it was more easier to stop it, because of the fact that it felt like it was more of like an OCD kind of thing rather than an eating disorder thing, because it got to the point where I knew I was sick, and I knew I wanted to gain weight, and I knew I wanted to get on with like my life, and I knew I wanted to recover and things, but my OCD really kept me back. But when I went cold turkey on the exercise, I realized it didn't affect me as much as it did when I was really stuck with it, when I had like when it was more like an eating disorder thing, when I was like using it as a form of like purging kind of in a way, like purging calories and things in a way. So I realized that it was more of my OCD this time. But like I mentioned, I had to do this 12 times vigorously, and like it was just ridiculous. Like, I was so tired waking up. I was already going to bed at like 3 a.m. and waking up at like, you know, like 6 a.m. until like 10 a.m. doing a stupid routine, and then I wouldn't be able to do pretty much, and then I'd end up sleeping during the day, and then I'd miss meals, and even though my parents would wake me up to go and get meals and things like that, I just wouldn't do it because I was so exhausted. And it just got really bad with everything, to be honest. And then the whole thing of portions OCD came in. So I had an OCD of only eating, like, say for example, I I ate a meal one time and I left it a little bit. Then the next time I ate that meal, I would have to leave a little bit again on my plate, the same amount again. And then say there was one thing that I really struggled with, and that was rice. So say I had some rice on my plate, I would always have to leave, no matter what rice it was, I would always have to leave like a little bit in the corner of my plate, like a little circle in the corner of my plate. It really bugged my mom. Same with baby waffles. I only allowed myself 4 potato waffles. It was just like, it was once again another OCD with me. Or if I ate a pizza, I'd have to leave at least 1 slice. There was loads of little things I did, but it was like really repetitive things that I would do. Let's have a look. I also had like a full OCD of things like back in the summer of what I would do. So I do my exercise and then I do like stupid things like really basically of like I'd have to tighten my hair, but like I'd have to do it like a specific number of times and things. I had to have a specific number of clips in my hair. I had to I also had a really OCD with squatting, which sounds so weird, but I forced myself to do a squat for like an hour in the morning, and like I also stopped that though, but that was also mainly because of OCD, because it was like a number, once again it was a time thing, and like I'm just so glad I don't have to, like you kind of forget about things when you've stopped them for so long. You kind of do forget about things, which is proof you can stop things. But then when you actually start to think about it, you're like, how insane was I? Like I literally stand, like I talk to my mom in the kitchen and things, and I'm just like, how crazy was I? Like how crazy was it? Like it's mad. So that was another thing. But yeah, like my OCD was extremely strong during my, like when my eating disorder was at its worst. My OCD got at its worst as well, and then when my eating disorder got a bit better, then my OCD seemed to get stronger. And then when I went all in, I was finally able, I don't know, just to stop everything. Like it was so crazy to be able to stop things. But my time was one of the main things. And if you're struggling with OCD and you're struggling with times, please push yourself to eat at a different time. Do things, even if it's eating like, you know, like 10 minutes earlier. Little steps like that will get you to where you want to do it, because I didn't do my times, like my times took something, like it took a long time to do my times. But then things like when it comes to portionings and things like that, always make sure you finish a full plate of food. Always, even if you're full, get that plate done, because then it'll save you a lot more like thoughts and stuff when you've already finished that meal once. So you don't have to think back the next time you have that meal, well I left like 3 fries last time, so I have to leave 3 thighs again. Like, okay, literally just finish the plate of food and you won't have that issue. I'm trying to think about how else like I can help you with things, because it's such a difficult thing. Like it's one of them things where you just have to stop it. Like I can sit here and tell you all day, like, you know, different routines and different things that you can do to stop it, but at the end of the day it's all down to you to stop these stupid routines and stupid behaviors. And that's another thing, if you're not diagnosed with OCD yet, but then you feel like you do have a lot of OCD compulsions and things, then, you know, and if you feel like you do need a diagnosis or you need medication even to help you, then please go to the doctors and please get the help and support that you need, because, you know, there are people out there that can help you with these kind of things. So please do that. So I hope this video gave you a little bit of information about my personal experience with OCD. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.